yung PhD, dentistry, medtech, medical, and nursing.
Ilang minutes pa, ma'am? Ma'am Nancy, ilang minutes pa po? Bago
Ma'am, it's you started. It's already 10 o'clock. I just had my alarm.
Okay.
Can we go on air na?
Live na po, live na.
Live na ba?
Pag-leave muna ako. Ano?
Ma'am, sino yung mag-share screen for the intro music natin?
Saan? Sa Backnotan ka ba? O sa Agoo?
Yes, ma'am. Backnotan, ma'am. Si Ma'am Nancy ang nasa Agoo.
Mm-hmm.
We'll just wait for the prompt na we're on air. Ma'am Charity, ayan.
Waiting. Yes, nag-aantay din ako, ma'am.
Okay. I can see it.
News and current affairs. Top stories of the day. Business, sports, music, and entertainment. Dadalhin sa inyo ng mas pinaganda, mas pinalawak, mas pinalakas. Radyo Pilipinas. Radyo Pilipinas.
Radyo Pilipinas Agoo. DZAG 97.1 FM.
Pagpalang umaga nga kabasa, live mula DMSU, South La Union Campus, Main Library, Agoo, La Union, sabay-sabay nating tunghayan at pakinggan ang programang Hatid ay Kaalaman. Inihahandog sa inyo ng DMSU at 97.1 Radyo Pilipinas Agoo. Ito ang Library on Air.
At mga kaibigan, isang magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Welcome po sa isa naman pong edisyon ng ating programang DMMMSU-SLUC Library on Air. Hatid po sa atin ng DMSU at ng DZAG Radyo Pilipinas Agoo. Ngayon po ay araw ng Biyernes, September 17, 2021. Ito po ang inyong likod, Charity Jimenez Frianesa mula po sa DZAG Radyo Pilipinas Agoo. At sa araw po na ito, espesyal na naman po ang ating edisyon na ating programang DMSU Library on Air dahil ang aking magiging partner po na host ngayong umaga, walang iba kundi po ang mismong Director of Library Services and Development po ng DMSU. Walang iba kundi si Dr. Sonia Isip. Good morning, Ma'am Sonia. Good morning, Ma'am.
Hi, ma'am. Good morning. Magandang umaga po sa ating lahat. Magandang umaga po.
Good morning, everyone.
Yeah.
Ayan. Okay, ma'am, live din po tayo sa ating FB page. Naka-live streaming po tayo sa DZAG Radyo Pilipinas Agoo at ng DMSU SLUC. At Ma'am Sonia, bigatin ulit ang ating guest ngayong morning. Baka pwede po kayo na po ang mag-introduce sa ating guest ngayong umaga, Ma'am Sonia. Ma'am Sonia, nakamute po kayo. Ma'am Sonia, nakamute po akata kayo.
Ako nakamute? Can you hear me? No, I'm on.
Dr. Isip po, si Dr. Sonia. Dr. Sonia, nakamute po kayo.
I can't hear you, Sonia.
Ma'am Sonia, nakamute po. Nakamute po kayo. Ma'am Sonia, para hindi yata tayo naririnig ni Ma'am Sonia. Ma'am Sonia. Oh, wala po. Nakamute po si Ma'am. Nakamute. Ma'am Sonia, nakamute po kayo. Hello, Ma'am Sonia. Hindi tayo naririnig. Ma'am Sonia, nakamute po kayo. Ma'am Sonia, baka pwede pong paki-introduce po sa ating lahat ang ating panauhin ngayong umaga sa ating programa. Nakamute pa rin.
Alam mo, nagpapalya even my graduate class, but I can hear them because some of them are enrolled in London and one is based in Bangkok. I can hear them from here in my condo in UP. Okay.
Yes, Ma'am Sonia, yata kayo nakamute. Maganda din po na mai-share natin ang background sa ating yung magiging guest po natin ngayong umaga mula po sa National Commission for Culture and the Arts, Ma'am Sonia, or si Ma'am Kathleen. Ma'am Kathleen, kasama din po natin mula sa DISO Library.
Okay.
Ma'am Kathleen Joyce Perona, good morning, Ma'am Kathleen.
Yan, good morning po sa ating lahat. Good morning po mga kabasa. Let me introduce po ngayon ang ating magiging speaker for this episode. So our speaker for today is Professor Salvacion Manuel Arlante. She's a retired University Librarian Archivist of the University of the Philippines, Diliman. She holds a Bachelor of Science in Foreign Service and Master of Library Science, both from the University of the Philippines, and an advanced course in Library Science and Documentation. Center International de Perfectionment, Professional at Technique International Labor Organization, Turin, Italy. Though retired, she's still a professional lecturer of graduate library science courses at the UP School Library and Information Studies, and she handles library management, collections development, readers services, publishing, art and records management, marketing, library and information services, and Filipiniana historical and archival resources. She is presently the chair of the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, National Commission for Culture and the Arts. And we all welcome Professor Salvacion M. Arlante. Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Naimbag na bigat yung amin.
Ayun, ang ganda na po na pagbati ni Ma'am Salvacion. Good morning, Ma'am. Pasensya na, medyo na-delay yung ating intro sa inyo, pero gusto namin kasi mabigyan ng magandang introduction po.
Thank you for the generous introduction.
Ma'am, dahil ngayon po, pinag-uusapan nga natin itong National Commission for Culture and the Arts, dahil na po itong National Committee on Libraries and Information Services. Well, baka pwede po ninyong maibahagi muna sa amin. Ano po ba ito para sa ating mga tagapakinig at tagapanood po ngayong umaga?
Okay. Well, first, we're talking about the NCCA, the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. It has 4 subcommissions. And the 4 subcommissions are actually on the arts, where you have committees on architecture, allied arts, cinema, dramatic arts, literary, music. The next subcommission is on cultural heritage. It's a subcommission on cultural heritage where you have the Committee on Archives, Art Galleries, Historical Research, and for which NCLIS is a member, is a national committee on libraries and information services and monuments and museums. The third subcommission is on cultural dissemination, where you have a committee on communication, a cultural education committee, and a language and translation committee. And the fourth subcommission is on cultural communities and traditional arts. You have here the committee on northern cultural communities. You have central cultural communities, southern cultural communities. And so you have the 4 subcommissions. The subcommission on cultural heritage is where the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services belong. There are 19 national committees for the NCCA in the 4 subcommissions. Okay. So, yung National Committee on Libraries and Information Services, if you want to know, is composed of members from of professional librarians representing the 17 regions of the archipelago. So from Region 1 to the Region 17, all the librarians are represented, all public of all types, public libraries, academic, special, and school libraries are in the National Committee on Libraries and Information Services. But in my committee, we have 13 members, a head, we have a vice head from Luzon, a secretary from Mindanao, we have an assistant secretary from the Visayas, para lahat ng the islands in the archipelago are represented, and we have representatives not only from Mindanao, from Luzon, from NCR, from Visayas, and an ex-officio member. So I chair the committee, and I have 13 professional librarians. I was giving an orientation lecture to my graduate programs, not only in UP, but in Centro Escolar, where I had the program for the PhD and in the graduate school. I said, all pursuant to 92 Republic Act 9246, all professional librarians are licensed because they have a license to practice the profession. They are therefore registered professional librarians with the PRC. They're also called, according to the Republic Act, information professionals, not just librarians, but they are registered information professionals, RIP. Hindi rest in peace, kundi information professionals. Okay, so that's the background of my national committee, and I'm proud to have 13 professional, very active, vibrant librarians and information professionals. Okay, so that is, I hope that it gives you a brief introduction on what my national committee is. But the National Committee Chair sits also and gets invited to the National Advisory Board of the National Commission for Culture and the Arts. Okay.
Okay. So from 19 national committees, isa po ang NCLIS dun sa 19 committees na yun. And iba-iba rin po ba yung mandato, yung mandate po ng bawat
of the national committees, iba. Kung saan sila, kung Committee on Cultural Communities, yun meron sila on the arts, on museums and objects, meron on archives, meron iba pang mandata natin. But in the NCLIS, the mission actually, the vision of NCLIS, and I think I have to let you know that the vision is a progressive and a knowledge-based Philippines with a network of libraries and information centers, providing access to not only local but global information. And so that's a very clear vision. And for which a mission says we need to promote and strengthen life. The primary aim of librarianship is to support education, which is lifelong learning, through the development of library and information services. You revitalize library and information resources, meaning collections of all the 4 types of libraries on the humanities, on the arts and culture, and of course, retooling of library information and the librarians. Okay, so that is what we have.
Okay.
I think,
Sonia, baka may tanong din po kayo, Dr. Sonia?
Yes, ma'am. I'm sorry. Nawala ako kanina kasi talagang intermittent yung internet connectivity namin.
Yes, no, we understand.
Yeah. Ma'am Arlante,
Yes.
since nasabi na po ninyo yung mga mandato natin, kung ano yung purpose natin, I think marami tayong programs actually for librarians and libraries.
Ang dami. Marami.
Yes, ma'am.
Diba?
Can we be oriented also of all these programs?
Oo naman, no? Ang dami natin, but I would like to come out with, meron kaming programs One is actually information centers. Yung mga ano natin, we actually have provided funds, financial assistance, which is
Yes.
actually a mandato of NCLES.
Mm-mm.
And we have to assist financially all types of libraries all over the country. We have established the establishment of public libraries in
Yes, ma'am.
aid or in
Malakas tayo
assistance
dyan.
to the National
Oo.
Library of the Philippines. And of course, we try to finance the enhancement of government libraries via a project proposal. We have also school libraries at the same time. And now I have a current project on the digitization and access to full text of local and Filipino historical researchers,
Yan,
including in Conabula. And we have just provided funds for this, Sonia, because I have revived the Cultura Link project. The Cultura Link project links all types of libraries with rich collections on culture and the arts. And so I have just revived the Cultura Link project so that it is now based. There were 15 institutions actually participating in that program before the pandemic. Nag-stop yon. And now
Kailan nag-start yun?
ngayon, nag-start na because the core collection is already maintained by the National Libraries Data Center. And we have contributed in UP so many things, and 15 universities have sent in their soft copies already. Now we have started reviving this. There's a project proposal presented by the National Library because the database is already available and needs to be upgraded. Okay.
Ma'am Shane.
Yes, ma'am. Wait lang po, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, yung Cultura Link, ang mag-host, the National Library.
The National Library, because the core database is already there. And so we're now trying to revive, and I've asked the National Library to remind and refresh, alert again the participating institutions to upgrade what has already been submitted to the database. Kasi it stopped for a while, di ba? And then we will be choosing what needs to be digitized full text. Kasi pipiliin syempre nila. And not only the current resources, but to include in Conabula, the significant historical researches covering the copyright 1500s. The Inconabula are materials dating back as late as 1500s, or the first cradle books, or the books that were printed during the infancy of printing. So that's what you call Inconabula in archival terms. Okay, so that's a good project. We have ongoing projects right away, actually. Okay.
Ma'am, yung Cultura Link, 15 institutions lang ang member. Ma'am, nakamute ka na. Yeah, okay. Ay, nakamute ulit.
Okay. No, those were the original members because at that time that I was head of the University of the Philippines, we wanted the complete codes, the location codes of the resources of the participating institutions. Now, we have opened the database to more participants para ma-accumulate natin lahat ang resources that will be digitized on the culture and the arts. Kasi yung iba na walang facility, we have to accommodate them, This is one way of helping other libraries without the capability to digitize. Because the National Library, including the UP, LaSalle, and the rest of the institutions who have all the resources and facilities will be on hand, will all help in the project. Okay. So that's what...
Magandang project yun, ma'am, lalo na ngayong pandemic. Kasi the access of information is masyadong limited, and we we rely too much on the internet technology.
And this is also part of when we contributed our participation to the celebration of the National Heritage Month in May, which is upholding Filipino identity or Filipino heritage. My proposal was for the NCLES to come out with a project so we can participate on building local history collections in public libraries in the country, from Region 1 to Region 17. And so we participated, we pinpointed the local history collections of all libraries in the per region. Kasi mapapabayaan natin kung hindi natin asikasuhin ito. Yung iba nawawala na, disintegrated. Yung iba pinagbibili sa mga may perang foreigners who are collecting materials. This should belong to our country, di ba? Yes. And so we have now a policy that if you bring out a cultural heritage material, you're going to get a permit from the National Library and you're going to pay a tax for it. I was telling them a story about I was in Korea and in Pakistan as a consultant of the International Labor, and I had to order a carpet of 27 colors in Salir in Pakistan, done by Belgian sisters, but hiring 6 years old to 12 to 15 years old. Just nag-weave lang sila. I had to pay a tax in about $15,000 for the carpet. Yeah, because you have to have a permit from government. And that is what we are trying to work on. Any cultural heritage material from the Philippines going out of the country should now be assessed by the National Commission for Culture and the Arts with a permit and to pay a tax.
Wow, that's good.
Para hindi na lumalabas.
Saka we protect also our culture. Yeah.
Remember, we had a previous case at the National Library then that pilferage yung mga specific significant reports in one of the collections there na hindi na natin na-reclaim kasi pinagbili na sa mga foreigners who were collectors of archival resources. And so this is actually, madugo itong trabahong ito. Kaya lang, we just have to have guidelines and stricter implementation of rules and regulations. Okay. That's why we keep working and we keep parang regular working staff tayo ng National Committee with the National Commission for Culture and the Arts kasi they can call a meeting anytime because we have to clear out guidelines and come out with implementations and penalties. Okay. So that's part of the project. Ang dami pa nating project.
Yeah. Diba? Thank you for sharing that project, ma'am.
Yeah. Anna, you want another project that I need to report right now? I had the capability training, which the NCLIS funded. You know, that was my first project, and it amounted to a huge amount of money because primary responsibility is actually capability building of our human resources in all types of libraries. So the project that I had, which we gave a large amount of financial assistance from the NCLIS, is the capability of 3 groups. One is for those staff members employed in public libraries who have no formal training in librarianship. So we have in the 3 groups more than 1,999 to be exact participants. So we had a 1-month training, intensive training, online nga lang, virtual, of public employees in public libraries who have had no formal training in librarianship. The second group are teachers with the DepEd who are designated teacher librarians in school libraries who do not have also formal training in librarianship. And the third group are actually library and information studies or science faculty members in higher educational institutions. So there were 3 groups, which the trainer, we have selected the UP School of Library and Information Studies to be the trainer for these 3 groups for a period of 1 month each. Intensive training where they garnered certificate so that now they can go, yung public librarians who finish the course can go into the formal training and take a degree program so they can be qualified to take the licensure examination. We have new librarians who passed the licensure examination, which has just been released, diba? Okay. So that is a good project that we have para yung mga nasa public libraries, with the hope that the National Library of the Philippines I was chair the other year of the Board of Judges. I was chair of the Board of Judges for the Outstanding Public Library Provincial Library the other year. That is given during the Library and Information Services Month. I found out that the Benguet Provincial Library has very good collections,
Yes, ma'am.
Sonia. And I think we have to digitize the different dictionaries in the different Igorot languages that we have, which is not available in any of our public libraries, not even in UP. I was there and I offered to digitize them para meron tayong kopya sa lahat, diba? Because the database will be available to all our participating libraries in the country.
Wow, maganda yun, ma'am. Actually, sa Region 1, marami rin. Kaya lang, hindi lang siya yung talagang...
Now, I want to tell you that we have called for, actually, tapos na at the end of the month, yung call for project proposals.
Yes.
The next project proposal that you have to think of is actually coming out with a Center for Ilocano Studies, which should be based in La Union or in
Ilocos
or in Ilocos Norte. We have one. We're starting one in Ilocos Norte and Ilocos Sur. We have to have one kasi sa San Fernando ang Region 1 ng center, di ba? Oh,
Yes,
let's come out with a Center for Ilocano Studies.
Yes.
I can start. Diba? That's a good idea, Son.
Yes,
Charity. I can start with my collection in the UP. And, I had a project at the Center for Southeast Asian Studies in Kyoto, where I am visiting professor in Kyoto University. I did a 3-volume project. I customized a database on non-English materials on Philippine studies. And I had there the Marcelino Foronda and the Ambeth Ocampo collection. So now you will have to come out with a project proposal and coming out with a Center for Ilocano or Ilocaniana. Ilocano Studies na lang. Di ba ang ganda-ganda nun? Ang dami nating saying, proverbs, history, legends, myths, lalo na sa medleys and songs. Ang dami nating kanta ng Ilocano. Di ba?
Yes, ma'am. I promise on air. We will start on that.
Come out a project with that. I'm behind you on the project.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, Ma'am Charity.
Okay. Yes,
Miss Charity. Kay Ma'am kay Ma'am Salvacion kasi naririnig na ito, napapanood na po ng ating mga kababayan.
I'm sure, Charity, we will be deluged with project proposals. They just have to wait for a call for papers. Okay.
Yes. Gusto nila din siguro na alam na natin na problema rin yung yung funding, ma'am. Kaya baka makatulong po kayo for idea kung ano po yung mga proposed project na gusto po ninyo para po makapasa sa inyong committee for funding.
Okay. Meron pa. Ang NCLIS also provides technical assistance to institutions who would like assistance. Hindi lang kailangan funding, kundi ang NCLIS refers the experts. We have a list of experts for technical assistance. Ano yun? For organization and maintenance of the library's collection or a preservation and care of library collection, mga conservators natin. We have library accreditation. Some institutions need to know ano ang requirements ng accreditation before they can be accredited for a certain degree program. Then, of course, organization and use of non-print collections. And meron siyang access, description, and use of digital collections. So we recommend the experts for technical assistance to institutions who request technical assistance on these specific areas, of course. And of course, if there are librarians who are invited to present papers in local, in national, and international conferences or fora, we provide assistance for international travel grants. Okay. Hindi not much. Kaya lang, at least we can subsidize. Diba? Meron tayong, hindi tayo always, we can subsidize. Then, of course, there are programs. Ang dami na nating programs kasi ang dami nai-invite to present papers, di ba, in international conferences. Kasi we are a member, the Philippine Librarians Association is a member of the World Library and Information Congress annually. And actually, I sit in the organizing committee. And so we accommodate people who can present papers. They might not be, the travel grant might be subsidized, but your papers can be published in proceedings of the World Library and Information Congress. There are other projects like the Librarians Summit on the Multicultural Services in Library. Recently, we just closed in August 22 to 25 a conference. Were you there, Sonia? On the first ASEAN Virtual Regional Conference of Public Librarians, where I gave the closing remarks. So I gave the closing remarks for that, because then, ang dami natin 200 plus participated by our ASEAN librarians all over the country. And then, of course, enhancement of libraries and barangay reading centers.
Yes, that's important, ma'am. Kindly elaborate on that.
Importante yung local history. Okay. Enhancement. There's another one. Local storytelling competition, interpretative with song and dance. Now, now that we have just finished the Library and Information Services Month, I was thinking that siguro sa atin sa Region 1, let's start with the contest on balagtasan. Nawala na yung balagtasan eh. Remember?
Ano ng balagtasan?
Yung parang declamation in Filipino, in Tagalog.
Yeah, may Ilocano yun.
At hindi meron tayo, di ba?
Meron noon.
Kung may balagtasan in the different languages.
May Ilocano na
Oo. Di ba? Ang ganda-ganda sa
Bukanegan.
Bukanegan or the balagtasan. So, 2 competitions. Di ba? In Ilocano, kasi ang dami nating magagaling na bata. Imbes na, yung nagrarap sila in Ilocano or in Tagalog, they come out with poems or yung poetic presentation in Ilocano or in Tagalog, in Filipino. Di ba? Yes. Think about that as a contest when we come out with the next planning for the Library and Information Services Month for 2022. We're in the process planning already.
Yeah, noted, ma'am. And we can put it on air if
Yes.
Bukanegan
Yes.
program. Yeah, di
Let
ba,
me know how
we can
the
do
prize.
that.
Let us know the prize. It doesn't have to come from NCLIS.
Yes.
But it can come out from other sources of or from donations. Di ba? That should be good.
Yeah.
Para ma-involve lang yung mga bata na wala na sila. English ang English sa mga bata, Tagalog ng Tagalog. Ang ganda-ganda ng Ilocano natin, di ba?
Yes.
Lalo na nawala na yung Bukanega, nawala na nga yung Sarsuela nung bata ako. Alam mo,
Sarsuela
po. In Ilocos,
yes.
I could hear during Christmas time, merong mga kantahan ng Ilocano na nagsasagutan and they called it a Sarsuela. Di ba?
Yeah.
Oo. And I want to revive those. I'm an archivist and I am a conservator. So, I'd like to come out with those. I'm a conservator.
Yes,
So,
ma'am.
you have ideas of what projects you're going to come out with. Okay.
Yeah, it's so many. You gave us so many ideas, ma'am.
Oo naman, di ba?
What are the steps in applying grants?
There are guidelines tayo. When we call for papers, there are guidelines, di ba? Meron tayong mga guidelines. And we can source out funds for that. We can do that. Right now, marami tayong gagawin. And I would like us to improve. Nandyan na rin lang tayo. We might as well improve the libraries in the different regions. Starting from Region 1 to NCR and those in Mindanao, Visayas, and Mindanao. Di ba? I think that we should do that. Yun ang maraming project backgrounds. And we can tie up with the National Library because if you remember, Son, only one organization is allowed to present only one project at a time.
Yes.
Kasi yung dati, kugari ng National Library, ang dami niyang projects, pero kako, isang project lang, pero i-line item mo, different activities, so that isang financial assistance lang. Siya ngayon ang magdi-distribute or mag-allocate with one financial assistance in the different projects. Di ba? That is what we do. Do we have a consortium in Ilocos, in Region 1, consortium of libraries? Come out with a consortium. Meron ba?
Actually, ma'am, we are circulating already our memorandum of agreement. We call it LiveCore. Librarians.
Ano to, ACIs? Lahat ng MMSU, Batak,
SEIs. SEIs.
SHEIs.
Yes,
Kasama ang Batak,
Yes, ma'am.
DMMMSU.
Yes, it's in the region. And actually, the
Ang
library...
Region 1 kasama ang Pangasinan, di ba?
Yes, ma'am, Pangasinan. A member na rin sila, ma'am.
Okay, good.
Actually, ngayon lang nag-message yung librarian ng MMSU, Ma'am Jane Medrano, and sinabi niya, ma'am, na
MMSU, si Jane sa public o si Nora Clemente? Nora Valenzuela Clemente.
Jane Medrano, ma'am.
Okay.
She's informing us that they are already starting collecting local literature.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Materials in Ilocana pala.
Yes. Involved Nora Valenzuela Clemente of Northwestern University. Lawag.
Yes, ma'am. We will have a meeting for that project, the Ilocana literature.
Itaon mo pag nandun ako ano may White Ilocos. So I can sit there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Kailan kaya?
I will see. Ngayon I just canceled my trip to Cambodia. Delikado
yes.
Congress of Southeast Asian Librarians will be hosted by Siem Reap in Cambodia.
Okay. Ma'am Charity, may question ka, ma'am?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am Salvacion, baka pwedeng pakishare na rin sa amin itong National Book Week and ano po yung mga programs and activities po ninyo para dito, ma'am?
Alam mo yung National Book Week na yan, 1 month pursuant to a proclamation. But it's the National Library and all other institutions, HEIs, public libraries, celebrate National Book Week. Parang Public Library Day. They celebrate National Book Week. They open their libraries for open houses. They come out with exhibits on what books they have and local history collections. They do parade with all the, they fill the characters in national book characters. There is also a book, merong contest sila na book yung mga, they come out with titles of books, and the titles of books, they come out, a contest ng National Library, coming out with the poem using the titles of books. Okay.
Yeah.
So, at saka yung nasa Bookspine, meron din silang program na yan. And they provide some prizes for that. Because the last week of November, November 24 to the end of November is National Book Week. And so it's a national library who coordinates with the different library associations and the different libraries who would like to participate. But each institution would like to have their own, exhibits in their own libraries. Diba? Public, school libraries, lalo na yung school, very active mga school kasi they come out with book characters, they come out with a poem, poem or declamation contest, yung ganun. So those are the activities of the National Book Week. It is actually pursuant to a proclamation, presidential proclamation to celebrate National Book Week. Okay, that's every November.
Yes, ma'am. May guidelines po ba kayo paano sila makapag-participate or how to
meron if the National Book Week, the National Library sends out guidelines or yung mga announcements for the contest that they will institute. Because for every activity that the National Library does for the whole of November, binibigay yan, sinasubmit yan sa NCLIS for financial assistance. Ina-outline nila yung mga contest na yan. So we can come out and then we can announce it to the world over. Ang daming nagpa-participate niyan.
National kasi, ma'am. It's a national activity.
Yeah. Ang gustong-gusto kong i-enhance natin na wala pa ang Ilocos. Kasi tingnan mo yung sa Pangasinan, may Center of Pangasinan Studies sila. Di ba? I developed one in Center for Philippine Studies. Dapat meron tayong Center for Philippine Studies. Meron Center for Kapampangan Studies in Pampanga, which is based there in Pampanga, in San Fernando. So, I think I'm trying to see if we can have one in Region 1. Okay. We can coordinate MMSU in Batak. Nagsimula na yun doon kay Lucena, Felipe. I think
very rich yung
Mr. Respicio, I started that. I gave them some materials. Then we can come out in San Fernando, La Union. Ipinpoint lang natin yung libraries called DMMSU. Let's coordinate. And then one in Pangasinan. Meron na ang Center for Pangasinan Studies in Dagupan.
In Dagupan, ma'am?
Meron na sila.
Okay.
Sa public library, sa provincial library. Okay.
Okay.
They have one in the Capitolio. Okay.
So,
oo.
Region 1.
Meron tayo in San
No.
Fernando dapat. Kasi di ba San Fernando is the center for Region 1 institutions, di ba? I was wondering, doon ba sa meron bang malaking office doon sa DepEd kila Magda? Hindi, mas maganda sa academic institution na ka-base. Sa DMSU. DMMMSU.
Yes. Okay, we will host.
Of course.
Yes.
Yan, Ma'am
Bakit
Sonia.
hindi? Yeah. Then we can incorporate Northwestern University, Batak, Don Mariano kay Lucena, Felipe.
Nag-retire na siya,
Lucena. Pag sino, may kapapalit, si LV.
Oh, yeah, tama.
Estudyante ko si LV. Tapos na. Okay. What else? Naku. Who else? DMMSU, kayo ni Nancy at ikaw, Son.
Yes,
You
ma'am.
coordinate. Let's have it in La Union. Kasi
Yes,
Region 1, pag Region 1, ang center ng Region 1, San Fernando.
San Fernando naman talaga, ma'am.
Why don't we have it in the Capitolio?
I do not know if we have the space, pero probably we can
We can have
collaborate.
an allotted space at the Capitolio para maganda.
Yes, ma'am. We will collaborate with the local government.
Yes, please. You should see my Center for Bulacan Cultural Heritage, Bulacan Center for Cultural Heritage. I had one at Centro Escolar in Malolos. We have a CEU Malolos, and I put up a Bulacan Center for Cultural Heritage in Centro Escolar Malolos, beside the library. Just
Sige, ma'am,
one room
mag-benchmark
affair.
kami.
Oo. Gawin mo, kahit isang kwarto lang. Hindi naman kailangan maliit na maliit para malagay natin lahat ng mga hindi lang songs, mga pictures natin, a map of the entire Region 1, and then mga livelihood projects natin, the songs, the stories, the myths and the legends, di ba? Ang dami nating mailalagay. Our Habing Iloco is really, really good, di ba? Let's focus on what the strength of Ilocaniana materials, di ba?
Materials. Oo, ma'am.
I'm giving you ideas of what's going to be present.
Ang dami.
Madami yan.
Dami. Yes.
From Habing Iloco to lahat, di ba?
Hopefully we can materialize one project for 2022.
Oo naman.
Sana.
Oo. We can start by writing to all the librarians involved to collect all the materials na meron sila if we have to digitize or we have to photocopy a good copy for the Center for Ilocaniana or Center for Ilocano Studies. What I have in the UP and what I have in Centro will give it to you. And then let's come out with the computerized database. I'll worry about it. Okay.
Okay. That's nice.
Mag-charity.
Mag-charity.
Sonia. Maganda naman na i-share ni Ma'am Salvacion kasi
Oo
yung mga
naman,
ideas. Ito, lalo na sa inyo, Ma'am Sonia, na kung ano yung mai-come up ninyong mga projects proposals for the
Alam mo, ang public library.
Ma'am Arlante kasi, while she's talking, gumagana talagang dami-dami.
Alam mo, I've been going around as consultant of the international labor, and I've been going around not only in Southeast Asia but also in Europe and in the United States. Alam mo, ang ganda, ang Ministry of Education and Ministry of Culture ng Malaysia has given good assistance to public libraries. And I was in the inauguration of the Tanjung Ari in Sarawak, in Brunei. And ang ganda-ganda ng building, konti lang ang laman. But in the State Library of Sarawak, the State Library, because the executive officer, is a good friend of mine. She was my visitor in Manila. And then we are trying to train their staff who have no degrees in archives management. I must announce now that by early next year, the UP School of Library and Information Studies will now offer a Master of Arts in Archives and Records Management.
Wow!
Because the doctoral people, our staff, the junior faculty, have all retired with their PhD programs. So we are now in the third phase of the University Curriculum Committee. We will soon offer a Master of Arts in archives and records management. I sit in the core committee. I'm just Basad. Father Harold, who was commissioner in the subcommission for cultural heritage, just retired. And he was the first one who offered to fund the course for public libraries. Diba?
Ma'am, will that be offered online?
Yes, we have modules online. Kasi yung capacity training natin, Son, for the public librarians and the teachers in school libraries and the HAI faculty and LIS are all online. Until we get a better situation, then we can do face-to-face. But we have prepared for both modules.
Okay. So probably it will start next school year?
Yes, we might start it 2022, I think. We are just refining, but we already have the curriculum. But I must inform you also that the technical panel on library and information studies at the CHED approved my good friend who is my faculty member, who was chair of the PRs of the Board for Librarians, Coranera. They just approved my suggestion, my recommendation to include one additional subject for the Master of Arts in Library MLRS program, to incorporate a course, an additional course, on equitable information services for indigenous populations.
Oh, wow.
You know why? This is a multiversity. We have a multiversity society, and we feel that our good friends, our fellow Filipinos in the highlands or in the Visayas and Mindanao are being left out. That is why they run to the mountains or ang dami ng activists sa kanila because they feel they are left out. And so the technical panel just approved my recommendation. The course syllabus is already ready. We are we're offering the course already. Equitable information services for indigenous populations.
Wow. That's
Siyempre,
good.
some of our fellow Filipinos do not know what the rights are for ancestral lands. Ano pa? What are the rights, human rights for them? Diba? We should give them information services. Diba? We should give them information. That is something, if you're handling courses there in Region 1, sino ba nag-issue ng PhD nyo? Baguio Colleges ba? St. Louis? Quirina? Or dyan sa DMMSU? St. Louis College?
Masteral, ma'am. St. Louis College.
Okay.
And Liz?
Ang PhD nyo?
Wala pa, ma'am. Wala pang PhD ang library science.
We will be soon opening in UP.
Wow. When, ma'am?
It's now in the University Curriculum Committee. But we're starting to have our Master of Arts in Archives and Records Management. But it is a course that I teach, Archives and Records Management also. Para mas marami tayong mas marami tayong matulungan sa archives at records management.
At saka ma'am, ngayon that we are into digitization and electronic materials, kailangan talaga natin yun ma'am, yung archiving and records.
Oo naman. At saka i-enhance nyo yung indexing and abstracting. Although my CEP credits for my IMSI, I think some participants from La Union attended my CPE training program in Plaza del Norte. I have my Info Management Specialists Incorporated, where I am chairman of the board. And I am the official trainer of CE Logic and CNE Publication, CNE Publishing. Because my team of professional retired librarians, the former director of the National Library is in my team, Nani Cruz, Pides Abad, Rose Rosalie, and Rod Tarlit are all in my team. Rest in peace, my good friend Attorney Santos passed away. They're in my Info Management Specialist Incorporated. And we provide CEP training, continuing professional education. We tie it up with the projects of CNE Publication or CE Logic. So we are a CPE program, ganon.
Yes, ma'am. Talagang need of time na yung records management eh.
At pwede rin po ba yun sa distance learning, ma'am?
Pwede rin yun. Oo.
Oo.
Hindi.
Pwede
It's
mag-start
online
doon.
actually. Oo. Our
Online na
program,
kasi
may
yun.
program on archives and Filipino Historical Resources in our records management. Kasama yon archives.
Oo. For those who are interested to take, kasi lahat naman ng office and institutions may records
Actually,
management.
even in the UP School of Library and Information Studies, we have a summer institute. And one summer institute, we usually come out with records management.
Yun.
For government institutions. Para kasi yung ang dami-dami nilang records, no? Tapos isang subject area, ang dami-dami nilang folders, iba-ibang headings, iba-ibang sabi, ma'am, iba-iba ang labels ng mga folders namin. Iba.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, back tayo sa English.
Gagawin natin sa English ito.
What are we looking forward to sa English?
Well, I'm looking forward to an enhanced library, enhanced barangay reading centers, or enhanced public or government libraries. Come out with project proposals. An enhanced collection should be a center for Ilocaniana studies in Region 1. Then we can tie up with regions, Visayas, Southern Tagalog, Visayas. Meron akong thesis advisee for the master's degree who is a CHED scholar in Centro Escolar. A annotated union catalog of local history material resources on Region 8.
Oh. Wow.
And it has already been presented in Prague, in Fukuoka, and in Singapore. That not only a print annotated collection, but also we developed a digital and a computerized database for it.
For that.
She's my thesis advisee. One of my thesis advisee, kami ni Coranera. Coranera is also my faculty at Centro Escolar, is on leadership training. It was presented in Indonesia. She was one of the second best presenters there. That should be good.
Ang bilis ng oras. Charity.
Encourage again. One thesis that you can your graduates or your students in La Union is succession planning. Walang succession planning sa mga libraries or mga institutions kasi kung private institution, pamilya ang sumusunod. Hindi. You plan for succession planning so that you appoint a professional librarian that meets the requirements pursuant to the law. Diba?
Yes.
Mahirap yata yun.
That's why I funded capacity training or capability training so that hindi sino-sinong i-appoint na nilang dahil kasama pamilya siya. No, it has to have the necessary credentials. Di ba, Charity?
Yes.
Yung ina-upgrade mo yung integrity ng institution, di ba?
Pero may ongoing po ba kayong mga webinars, ma'am?
Oo, marami kami webinars. Oo, ang daming free. Ngayon, Oo.